I don't know if you noticed that.
Yes.
I mean, ministers, sages of society, Republicans like Harry Reid are freaked out by this election.
Harry's a Democrat.
Quite.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who's the other Republican who freaked out? I don't know. There's
Paul
lots.
Ryan.
Paul Ryan freaking out, right? All this analysis, inspiration, and next steps planning are falling on deaf ears for me because I have just been screaming inside of my mind since Tuesday night and I can't hear anything else. Finally, another minister, himself rewriting his sermon at 3 in the morning, said that people are not expecting me to be perfect with all of the right words, that what people need to know is that I am here. And that Sunday morning will keep going on. That we can count on friendly faces and comforting words. People need to know that their minister loves them beyond belief. And so I call you to be there for others in the same way. Not perfect, but there. In community that can change the world. I have been part of such communities before, not only in Unitarian Universalism, but in my own veterans community. I have a paperclip tattooed on my hand here, and I want to tell you about it. And it's on my salute hand. I don't know if you've noticed that, because I am a veteran myself. And in the 1940s, there was countries that were getting taken in by the Soviet bloc. And those people wore paper clips on their everyday dress to show that they were part of the resistance. And in the 1970s, Vietnam vets wore paper clips on their uniforms to signal to the officers that if they were put on the front lines, they would not engage the Viet Cong.
Wow. Whoa.
Yeah, true story. And my friend Eli Wright was about to be redeployed again, even though he had a traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder. And so he got paper clips tattooed all down his arm so that when he saluted his superiors, he would be able to show that resistance. And my friend Kelly Doherty, who's here with me today, another veteran, said, we need to go get tattoos of paper clips as well. And so a bunch of us veterans got them. And this community is a specific community of veterans. It's anti-war veterans. It's a group called Iraq Veterans Against the War. And this dedicated community to resistance changed the world and changed the narrative of being able to participate in the Iraq War because we brought back our stories and we told the truth of what was happening. John Murray, the minister who founded Universalism in the United States, is credited with saying that the job of the Universalist minister is to give people hope and not hell. I'm not very good. Because hell in these times would be to confirm that your fears that the president-elect has the worst morals of any elected official. Representatives of every political stripe have denounced his attacks on women, Muslims, Latinos, African Americans, and the disabled. Worse yet is that these moral views inform his policy decisions. Now, there's some who voted for him saying that they were looking past that because they wanted to change things. But at the same time, voting for him sent a message to these communities saying that you just don't care. Whether you meant to send that message or not, that is the message that was sent. If you're celebrating this election, then prove me wrong. And call in the people who are celebrating the election by ripping off the headscarves of Muslim women, calling African Americans the N-word, and shouting at Latinos to get ready for the wall. Yeah. Show me the morals the person you voted for lacks. I guess I'm not a very good universalist because while I'd love to give you hope instead of hell, I feel it is my duty to give you both. Because both exist in our community. Let me share the words of someone who calls themselves a 5'7" black man on Twitter. I'm talking to you now, surprised white people. I want to bring you in for an empathy moment. This feeling you have right now, amazement that the country could be so short-sighted that it could embrace hate so tightly, welcome. This despair and dread you feel, the indignation, bewilderment, hurt, powerlessness, and fear for family and livelihood, welcome. That knot in your stomach, the feeling of heartache, that uncertainty about your safety, the sense of fundamental injustice, welcome. For many marginalized people, this spike in distress you feel in the morning is what we feel every morning. The feeling of how could they possibly is precisely what we feel with every incident of excused violent disenfranchisement and denial. I don't say this to diminish what you feel today, because what we feel is real and valid. I'm giving you an opportunity to truly empathize. Today, the imaginary wall that divides your experience from ours has come down. You have the chance to commune with the rest of us. This needs to be a moment where you realize that you are not alone in your pain, that there are those of us who know it intimately. And let this be the last time you are surprised by the prevalence of violent hatred in this country. I see people talking about how Trump is not my president. Yes, he damn well is. Refusing culpability for America's actions is how we got Trump. America's neglect of its own health comes from this stubborn insistence that nothing is as bad as it looks. Another country didn't elect Trump, this one did. Your neighbors and relatives and co-workers and friends did. We are inextricably bound. We cannot wish half of the country away, but we sure as hell can challenge it. So he raises another point of hope and hell for white folks, that there is a hope because a majority of white people from every category, educated, women, old, young, rich, voted for Trump by a majority. They are my neighbors, the other parents at my kids' school, my family members. And they are probably yours too. We know them. And we, unlike others in society, can challenge their fear and racism from a place of relative safety. So let us rise to this challenge. I have guides printed out on how to have these difficult conversations. They're in the back there next to those blue books, and I implore you to take them. Not only wear a safety pin to show that you are an ally to others, as the people of Britain have done, but to find the time to talk to people that hold problematic views. We have to have these conversations even if we don't want to. We must move away from avoiding half of the nation and do the best to heal divisions while holding people accountable. As Forrest Church said, don't give the Bible, flag, and family over to the other side. We have to retrieve them and plant them on their original high ground. We have a moral imperative to assure the country that people are basically good and have inherent worth and dignity. To affirm that Trump is your president that you are going to challenge is to take your true place in this country as a patriot rather than a nationalist. A nationalist believes in their leaders no matter what they say. A patriot, on the other hand, is someone who recognizes the formational transcendent ideals that progresses this country ever closer to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for everyone. As a beacon of hope and progress to the rest of the world. And this is the patriotism that I'm asking you to undertake. There's other lessons from my veterans community that I want to share with you. The first thing that veterans need to do when they come back from war is heal. There is a physical healing from the wounds of war as much as there is emotional, psychological, and spiritual healing. Warrior Writers is one example of such a method of healing. Veterans who are able to put the words to the wordless, who start to describe an unfathomable despair, are able to start healing. Writing and art gives veterans a sense of control over difficult thoughts and emotions by openly speaking about them. This creativity is what saves us. These Warrior Writer workshops also happen in a judgment-free space. All offerings are accepted, and you are encouraged to bring your whole self. And this writing is appreciated as a piece of art, which helps with a sense of accomplishment that something's been done. A book has been put together. Now, some might want to challenge that art doesn't really do anything, but as Toni Morrison writes, this is precisely the time when artists go to work. There's no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, and no room for fear. We speak, we write, and we do language That is how civilizations heal. So if you need healing, I encourage you to create. And accept that your creation represents where you are. And it's neither right or wrong, but just a location and time. Another aspect of Warrior Riders is that the workshops take a place in a community of veterans. It isn't one person, a therapist working with one veteran, but a whole group of people who work on their writing together. And they present their work back to the larger society by hosting readings. There's a sense of community every time a veteran reads the piece that they created, because they remember the creations of everyone else that they were with. Unitarian Universalism practices this as well. The reading earlier by James Luther Adams, a Unitarian Universalist theologian, tells us that we have a responsibility to society greater than our vocation. We are not to simply die a grocer. We are to live to our greatest intentions and thus become divinely human. Reverend Wayne Arneson writes, "To take courage, friends, that the way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone." And I want to say that I am so proud of all of you. I have learned from veterans that in the face of injustice, it is really okay to feel terrible, to be deeply hurt by the wars of the world. To come back from war and just pretend that everything is okay is not a sign of moral courage. Those of us who came back with deep wounds in our hearts are the ones who have moral courage, who empathize with the broken, who mourn for what could have been. What I've heard from all of you from this week is that same empathy, that same care, not just for yourself, but for all the women that you fought for, all the Muslims, Latino people, poor, and even the earth. I hear your cries, and I know you are deeply hurt because you are hurting for all of us. And it hurts because you care. So nurse those hurts a little. Allow yourself to feel them deeply and boldly. It is okay. And it is a sign of the tremendous person that you are. And I am so proud of you. And I am here for you. And I know that you will be here for each other, for this community, and for the other. Clarissa Pinkola Estes, the woman whose words I shared for the pastoral prayer and meditation, tells us that we are made for times like these. And so I hope you take up the call of the patriot. I hope you are inspired by veterans in your life who have done the same, who have been able to take grievous pain and injury and transform it into art, into something good for society, to change the culture of hate, war, and despair. Also back there at that table, I have these little blue books that are for people in the military, but really they're for people who are going through hard times. And so let me officially say, these are hard times. Please take those books and you will find poems and prayers and songs for things that you can turn to. Turn to it in need as you have taken the safety pin, and turn to each other in need. Pledge that this community will always be here to bind up the broken. Even though it seems right now that love is on the losing side, thank you for always being on the side of love.